There are exactly 100 days left in the year, and this season tends to divide people into two groups. Group 1 are those who see the next 100 days as an opportunity to get ahead for next year. And Group 2 are those who make excuses, thinking that the year is almost over, leaving their new healthy habits to wait until January. Now, if we haven't met before, I'm Maria and I'm a registered dietitian. That has helped hundreds of people successfully lose weight. And today I'm going to share with you the secret into getting into Group 1 with me and ending this year with a bang. Now, maybe you can relate to this, but for nearly a decade, I was caught in this endless cycle. Each year would begin with a burst of ambition and excitement in January. I would have big goals to become a newer and better version of me. But a few months later, I'd have only forgotten about them. And ultimately, time and time again, I would end the year in exactly the same place. But then I took a completely new approach to goal setting. I took evidence-based strategies, expert advice, and analysed case studies from myself and from my clients to figure out what works and what is simply a waste of time. And by the end of each year, I had started to hit every single goal. But here's the secret. The year isn't 12 months long anymore. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the 12-week year. Because when it comes to weight loss, we do not have a knowledge problem. Most of us know how to lose weight. If you don't, watch any of these videos here. Our problem is in the execution. We know what we need to do, but we are simply not doing it. And the problem with setting goals in January for a full year is that there is no sense of urgency. If we slip up one evening in January, it doesn't matter because summer is still months away. And for me, I'm getting married next July. It's easy for me to just adopt the mindset that, yeah, I'll try to be good, but it's still ages away, so it doesn't really matter. And that is not the right mindset to have. Because psychology has a huge role in weight loss, almost more so than the food itself. And that's a lot coming from me because I'm a dietitian. But to explain this a little bit further, in psychology, there's something that we call delayed discounting. And this is why we opt to scroll through social media on the couch rather than working on something productive. Or why it's easier to order a takeaway and eat something off plan than going to the shop and making yourself a healthy salad. And when you apply this concept to 1 year goals, you can see why it's incredibly challenging to stay motivated. When you're working with a time frame that is so far in the distance, there is virtually zero incentive. So the aim here is to bring that goal, or at least parts of it, forward. So instead of maybe saying, for example, that I'm going to try and lose 50 pounds in 1 year, what about having the goal that you will lose 5 pounds in 1 month? The former is easy to put off because it does not seem urgent, but the latter is much more immediate, so you know you need to take action straight away. And according to the book, The 12-Week Year, the author recommends breaking down your 1 year goal into a 12-week plan. So the idea is to think of the 12 weeks as a year. So now if 12 weeks represents a year, every week now represents a month, and every day represents a week. And when you think of it like this, you realize how important every single day is when it comes to reaching your goals. And the 12-week plan is proven to be the perfect sweet spot. It's long enough for you to see progress and make changes, but short enough to create that sense of urgency. So if your goal, for example, is to run a full marathon, but you have never ran before, it's not that you try to run the full 23 miles within 12 weeks. You break it down into what you need to achieve in the next 12 weeks to feel like you're on track. So if you have never ran before, this might be that from week 0 to week 12, you try to run a 5K without stopping. And then in the next 12-week cycle, you can maybe aim a little bit higher, like running a 10K or running a half marathon. But this 12 weeks, that shorter time frame, it makes the goal feel much more immediate, and it makes you want to take action straight away. So how to get started with all of this? Well, I've made a free planner that you can download from a link in the description box below. But I'm gonna take you through it step by step because I need to make a plan for this quarter too. Now I'm gonna pause here and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the red subscribe button below. It really helps support my channel. And if you're looking for healthy, high protein recipe ideas, I'd recommend following me over on Instagram. So the first step that I want you to take is to create a compelling vision. And this is what I like to call your North Star. It's the overall place that you want to get to, or the goal that you want to achieve in the long term. So for example, many of my clients come to me and they say that they want to lose weight and get healthier. Now this North Star goal, it does not need to be super specific because we might not know exactly how we're going to get there yet, or exactly what it looks like. but we know that's where we want to go. Because something like get healthier or just feel at your best, these are quite vague, and that is okay. You don't need to put pressure on yourself for this part of the goal to be super specific. So for me, by the time I get married next July, I know that I just in general want to feel at my very best. It's not an exact number, it's not anything set in stone. But I know that in general, I just want to feel like the best, healthiest, happiest version of myself. And that's okay. But now from here, we're going to take this North Star goal and we're going to break it down into something more specific. It's going to be a specific goal that you feel is realistic for you to achieve within this next 12-week time frame. And it's something that you know will move you one step closer to that ultimate North Star goal. So for example, this could be, in this situation, it could be that you want to lose 10 pounds over the next 12 weeks. Lose 10 pounds. But now what I want you to do next, and what is very important here, is that I want you to take this specific 12-week goal. So this is your 12-week goal, and you're going to add so that I can to the end of it. And this is very important because losing 10 pounds on its own is not very helpful. It's not connected to a reason, and that has a huge impact on the motivational aspect of it. But if we change it around and we have it that we want to lose 10 pounds before the end of the year so that we can have more energy to play with our kids or feel our very best at our Christmas party, or so that you can have less pressure on your joints and you can get up and dance in the pub on Christmas Eve. But now it's specific and we've also attached a meaning to it. So now you're going to be much more motivated and inclined to work towards this goal. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is to make sure that you write down your goals. You don't have to use my planner, you can use whatever you want, but make sure you write them down. Ideally somewhere where you will see them very frequently, daily if you can. And this is because research shows time and time again that there is a correlation between reaching your goals and writing them down. For me, I am an extremely visual person, so I have my goals on this big massive whiteboard. One sec. This is them here. I see this every single day when I get up and before I go to bed. Now, you also don't want any more than 3 goals. If you have any more than that, they just become distractions. And remember that these goals are things that you're going to be working on top of your everyday tasks. So keep it small and keep it focused. So by now we have a compelling vision and specific goals. But most people stop here and they think that that is enough. They sit back and they wait for the universe to manifest their goals for them. But the universe responds to what you do, not just what you think about. So this is where you work out the daily actions that you need to take in order to help you reach your goal. So for example, 10,000 steps, 8 hours of sleep, and planned meals, or at least a planned breakfast and lunch at the very least. Now from here, you might also have weekly actions, because there's some things that you're not going to do every day. Taking myself as an example, I know that I'm trying to go for a run 3 times a week and do some weight or resistance training twice a week. So these are the boxes that I need to take off each week. But these are all outputs that we are going to track. And by doing this and outlining the actions that you need to take every single week, it will inevitably lead you towards your goal. It's these outputs, which essentially are habits that we're trying to build, that you want to spend your time focusing on, not your goal. So I like to have boxes for my weekly tasks and for my daily tasks. And at the end of each 7-day week, I add them all up and see how many I ticked off, and then I give me a score for the end of the week. And I'm trying to get 85% or more every single week. So if I miss one here or there, that's fine, because the goal is never perfection, but I still want to be making progress. And the best bit about using this 12-week plan guideline is that it can compress what you would have achieved in a year into 3 months. And then you have the chance to change the path every 3 months, instead of waiting a whole year if it doesn't work out. Like, how many people try something in January and by March it's not working, and then the rest of the year they don't make any new goals? At least this time, if something doesn't work out the way you planned within the 12-week cycle, you're onto a new year after 3 months and you can try again. It's like another fresh start. So maybe you're trying to lose weight and you take up running and you start calorie counting, and you try really hard at that for the next 12 weeks. But then you realize that you absolutely hate counting calories and you hurt your leg or you don't like running. Well, what it means now is that you don't just write off your goals for the rest of the year. The next 12-month cycle, you try something else. Maybe you take up Pilates or just going for a walk, and you take a less extreme approach than calorie counting because you realize it wasn't sustainable for you. But you can take those next 3 months and focus on something else towards your goal. And I know now that I have 3 12-week cycles until my wedding. So I'm going to try really hard at the next 12 weeks. And then if I need to regroup and take a different approach, I have another opportunity, 2 more of those opportunities really to do that. Now there is one final step that you can implement to take your goal setting that little bit further. So from studies, we know that people who have clear goals are more likely to achieve them than people who don't. We have that box ticked. People with goals and a plan achieve even more. Again, we have that box ticked. But people with a goal, a plan, an accountability buddy, and a weekly check-in, they achieve the most. So what I like to do is, again, I keep my weekly scorecard. And at the end of the week, I check in with my fiance. He's also doing something similar. And it helps us hold each other accountable. Because there's something different about if I say to myself, oh, I haven't reached my goals this week and this is why, in comparison to saying to somebody else, well, I was lazy and I didn't want to do this and that's why. It's a little bit more, it's just not as motivating. When you know you have to say it to somebody at the end of the week who's holding you accountable, you are a little bit more inclined to do what you need to do. Now, I'm all about ownership when it comes to making changes too, though. So you do need to be doing this for you, but an accountability buddy can be helpful. And it's also a little bit more fun to do this along the way with someone too. So that is how I am setting up my goals for the next 12 weeks and for next year. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy my effective habits of people who lose weight and keep it off. I'll leave it here somewhere. But if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you did give the video a thumbs up. It really helps show YouTube that my video has been helpful. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have a great 12 weeks, but I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.